I hope you're having a great day today. Um, my morning's been pretty kind of laid back. I've started working a little bit on your report card comments, and I had a great breakfast. And I thought, you know what? I'm ready to read some more Edward Tulane. So we're going to continue reading from our in-class read aloud. And yesterday we ended at a real cliffhanger, didn't we? We ended it where Bryce had Edward Jangles in that diner, and the chef, Neil, the owner, was pretty upset that Bryce didn't have enough money to pay for his food, and he got so angry that he ended up taking Edward and throwing him so hard that Edward's head hit the countertop and cracked, and we ended it with Bryce screaming and Edward's world going black. And we saw that our next chapter that we're going to read, chapter 22, has the same picture as what our cover is. And so we're going to read and see what happens now that Edward, his world just went black. He's just laying there. So let's read to find out what goes on next. All right, here we go. It was dusk, and Edward was walking down a sidewalk. He was walking on his own, putting one foot in front of the other, without any assistance from anybody. He was wearing a very fine suit made of red silk. He walked down the sidewalk, and then he turned onto a path that led up to a house with lighted windows. I know this house, thought Edward. This is Abilene's house. I'm on Egypt Street. Lucy came running out of the front door of the house, barking and jumping and wagging her tail. Down, girl, said a deep, gruff voice. Edward then looked up, and it was Bull standing at the door. Hello, Malone, said Bull. Hello, good old rabbit pie. We've been waiting for you. Bull swung the door wide open, and Edward walked inside. Abilene was there, and Nellie, and Lawrence, and Bryce. Susanna, called Nellie. Jangles, said Bryce. Edward, said Abilene. She held out her arms to him, but Edward just stood still. He was looking around the room. You're searching for Sarah Ruth, Bryce asked. Edward nodded. You gotta go outside to see Sarah Ruth if you want, said Bryce. So they all went outside. Lucy and Bull, Nellie and Lawrence, and Bryce and Abilene and Edward. Right there, said Bryce, and he pointed up to the stars. Yep, said Lawrence, that's where Sarah Ruth's constellation is. He picked Edward up and put him on his shoulder. You can see it right up there. Edward felt a pain of sorrow, deep and sweet and rather familiar. Why did she have to be so far away? If only I had wings, he thought, I could fly to her. Out of the corner of his eye, the rabbit saw something flutter. Edward looked over his shoulder, and there they were, the most magnificent wings he had ever seen. Orange and red and blue and yellow, and they were on his back. They belonged to him. They were his wings. What a wonderful night this was. He was walking all on his own. He had an elegant brand new suit on, and now he had wings. He could fly anywhere, do anything. Why had he never realized this before? His heart soared inside him. He spread his wings and flew off of Lawrence's shoulders and out of his hands and up into the nighttime sky, towards the stars, towards Sarah Ruth. No! Shouted Abilene. Catch him! Said Bryce. Edward flew higher. Lucy barked. Malone! Shouted Bull. And with a terrific lunge, he grabbed a hold of Edward's feet and pulled him out of the sky and wrestled him back down to earth. "You can't go yet," said Bull. "Stay with us," said Abilene. Edward was beating his wings, but it was no use. Bull had held on to him firmly to the ground. "Stay with us," repeated Abilene. Edward started to cry. "I couldn't stand to lose him again," said Nellie. "Well, neither could I," said Abilene. "He would just break my heart." Lucy bent her face to Edward's, and she began to lick his tears away. Wow, so what are you thinking? That's the end of that chapter. And he's seen all of his former owners who loved him and cared for him. So I wonder what this chapter is. Is this really what's happening? Is this what's happening in his mind? Rather interesting. Well, let's look at chapter 23. What are you seeing in that picture? It looks like Edward laying on a table, and as if some man that has different tools out is maybe working on him. All right, here we go. "Exceedingly well made," said the man who was running a warm cloth over Edward's face. "A work of art, I would say. A surpassingly unbelievable, dirty work of art. But art nonetheless, and dirt can be dealt with, just as your broken head can be dealt with." Edward looked into the eyes of the man. "Ah, there you are," the man said. "I can see that you're listening now. Your head was broken, and I fixed it. I brought you back from the world of the dead." "My heart," thought Edward. "My heart is what's broken." No need to thank me," the man said. "It's my job, quite literally. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lucius's clerk, the doll mender. Your head, may I tell you, will it upset you? Well, I always do tell the truth about the first head-on collision someone might have, no pun intended. Your head, you young sir, was in 21 pieces." 21 pieces? Edward repeated mindlessly to himself. Lucius Clark nodded. 21, he said. "All modesty aside, I must admit that a doll mender without my skills, might not have been able to rescue you. But let's not speak of what might have been. Let us speak instead of what is. And you're whole. You have been put back together from the blink of oblivion by your humble servant, Lucius Clark." And here, Lucius Clark then put his hand on his chest and bowed deeply to Edward. This was quite a speech to wake up to, and Edward was laying on his back trying to absorb it all. He was on a wooden table, and he was in a room with sunshine that was pouring in from the high windows. His head, apparently, had been in 21 pieces, and now was put together back to one. He was not wearing a red suit. In fact, he had no clothes on at all. He was naked again, and he did not have wings. And then he remembered Bryce and the diner, and Neil swinging him through the air. Bryce? "Are you wondering, perhaps, about the young friend," said Lucius, "the one with the constantly runny nose? Yes, you see, he brought you here, weeping and begging for my assistance. He begged for me to put you back together again. He said, please put him back together. I told him, I said, 'Young sir, I am a businessman. I can put your rabbit back together again, for a price. The question is, can you pay for my price?' You see, he could not. Of course he could not. He said he could not. I told the young man that he had two options. Only two. The first option being that he seek assistance elsewhere. But option two was that I could fix you to the very best of my abilities and that you would become then mine. No longer his, but mine. Here Lucius fell silent. He nodded, agreeing with himself. 2 options only, he said, and your friend chose option 2. He gave you up so that you could be healed. Extraordinary, really. Bryce, thought Edward. Lucius Clark clapped his hands together. But no worries, my friend. I fully intend to keep up my end of the bargain. I will restore you to what I perceive to be your former glory. You shall have rabbit for ears and rabbit for tail, and your whiskers will be repaired and replaced, and your eyes will be repainted to a bright, stunning blue. You will be clothed in some of the finest suits. And then, some day, I will reap the return on my investment in you. All in good time, all in good time. And in the doll business, we have a saying, there is a real time and there is doll time. And you, my friend, you have entered doll time. Whew. Wow. To think that Bryce gave Edward up so that Edward then could become whole and fixed is something really rather special. Bryce knew that that would be the better thing for Edward than just to keep him or to not have him become whole again. So chapter 24 will be tomorrow. And if we take a peek at the picture, it does show Bryce. And it looks like he's walking into a store. And if you look closely, it looks like over to the side, there's some dolls. I wonder if he's going into the doll shop. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed today's read aloud. It looks like we have maybe one more day or 2 of it. And hope you're having a wonderful day. I still am constantly thinking about you. And I can't wait to read to you again sometime soon. All right, talk to you later.